Hey everybody, it's the Redstone Wizard here again, bringing you another Redstone tutorial. This time, what I got for you is, well, for me, quite amazing. It is the bulk storage for the binary sorter. This is a self-allocating binary bulk storage system. Now, I got this part right here, the what I like to call the brains from Baden. Great, pretty good, really good stuff. Very technically minded. I'll leave a link to his video in the description. And then I came up with this part. It fit more along the lines of what I wanted. No weird, glitchy setup or anything like that. But let's just take a look at how this thing works real fast. So if we flip these levers, this is just a serial encoder that I have set up for my binary sorter. It doesn't have to be for this exact setup. This just works out for how I want it. Okay, now we have it set up where every other one is processing. So if we throw this shulker box in there, it's going to process through the system and bypass all these hoppers because they're locked. The very last one is unlocked so that it can put it back into this section and determine that there is nothing in the system that has that code, and then reset it for that code. Takes up the first available slot it can and fills up. So let's just say I want to add a different one. Well, let's say I've got one that has them all down. I activate the system. System does a semi-reset. Activates, and anything that happens, that code is going to open up. So I'll throw this one in and let it go through. And then after this one processes, it's going to take the first available slot that it can take. It might take the second one, might take the third one. I've seen it take it, but it doesn't matter because you're not going to be really gaining access to it. Even though there is space for you to come in here and take a look, you can. And if we go to the second one, we have that shulker box, and let's just say, then the next one is the one that we just did first. It's going to activate all of it, reset, put it to 0 technically, reset the system for what it is, and I'm going to throw a white shulker box in there now. And that's just going to go into the first available slot, which happens to be here, and there it is. And then let's just say hypothetically we got another one that is in a completely different set. And yes, and like I said, it is self-allocating. I'm just randomly selecting levers. And I can just throw that in. You'll go select the slot that it belongs to, which at the current moment it's none. Goes in the system. Processes. Pops out. Boop. And goes into the first available slot. Which if we see here, bam, right into slot number 3. And if it happens to go with the same one, it's just going to, the way the system is set up, it's still going to do the same thing. You can actually process it through the same number every single time. And that one in slot 3. And just to show you that it can go back down to all of them. I'm not even paying attention to, I just know where they go. And this one's going to go into slot 2, as you can see. And if this happens to, let's just say 2 happens to fill up, it's just going to pass on to the next one, come back, and select another slot that is available. It doesn't have to be the same slot. So if you got 1,000 shulker boxes of cobblestone. This can handle it. I actually did the math, and it's like 600 some odd shulker boxes can fill this entire system. And the nice thing is, also, let's just say I need to get that shulker box. I can actually hit that button, and boop, I get a shulker box of whatever the item was. That was in slot 2, slot 1, and slot 3. Okay, so guys, what do you say? Let's get to building this thing. Alright guys, I'm back. I'm not going to give you exact numbers to build one because if you're building this, you should be fairly late in the game, mid to late games, where most of the time resources are not an issue. And if you need some, you could just go to a farm and grab it. So let's take a look at what we need. These are just the parts that you will need for the entire system. They're not exact numbers, so don't sue me. So what we're going to need is pistons and sticky pistons, observers, comparators, repeaters, dust, droppers, hoppers, redstone torches, transparent blocks, and I do recommend having some of them glass. You can also use slabs or glowstone on some parts, but you're going to need some glass specifically. Solid blocks. I recommend like a cauldron with some water bottles, but you don't have to use the water bottles. It's just a container that you can regulate the amount of signal strength coming from it when a comparator is pulling out of it. So I do recommend trapdoors and some powered rails or activator rails, or you can have them both. That's up to you. There is 2 ways to actually do this, so I'm just going to use the trapdoor method because I find it a lot easier to build that way. So let's get started. So the first thing we're going to do is pick our spot. Yep, I've got my spot right over here. I'm actually going to grab some slabs because overall slabs are cheaper than full blocks. Okay, and we are going to start out by placing our system down. Start out with 1 block. I'm only going to do 1 slice because you build this exactly the same way over and over and over again. Off of the first one, we're going to place a observer next to, it doesn't have to be a slab, but slabs are cheaper overall, with a solid block, observer pointing up with a solid block, and we're just going to draw a line out like this with this. And this part is crucial because we are going to be taking and putting rails on here. Now, if you place the rail where it looks like this, when you place it down, you can just go to the next one and over again. But if it looks like this when you place it down, what you're going to have to do is, so if I set this here, if I place one here, it'll snap there. So what you're going to have to do is make your line, and at the very end here, we're going to break that, place that there, go down to the other end, and I'm just going to set a solid block and place it there. Fill this in, go every other one. So on your next one, you'll skip this one, but you'll do this one. And then when you come back, before you break these, then you'll place the rails again. But once you have all the rails in, this is just a little more than needed. And once you have the rails in, you're good to go for the next part. Take an observer, place it down, and take another block. I do recommend slabs again. And on the sides of each of these, place them. We're going to take our rails, place them here. And here's where, if you want to use the different types of rails, it's completely valid. But you have to make sure that they stay in line. So if I set that there, it's going to snap. But if I set these like here and place it here, that's not going to snap. The next one, I'm just going to do one more. I'm not going to use an observer here, but I am going to grab an activator rail. and place it here. These ones need to alternate, or you can do what I did and just throw a trapdoor. It doesn't have to be iron. It could be whatever you want. In fact, we need this one to be out one little more. It's a little cheaper. Overall, well, maybe not. But then we're going to skip a block. Place our slab again. Observer. We're going to do this. Pretty much we're going to be skipping blocks until we get as many bits as we have. So I'm only going to do, let's see here, that's 3 bits. No, that's 6 bits right there. So I got a 6-bit system here, and that one can go away. And I'm going to throw my powered rails on here real fast. And you do this with every single one. The next one will sit right here. And we'll grab the trap doors. And now we'll grab our observers again. And we're going to do on every single part of these. These get an observer. And then we're going to set a solid block in the center ones. We'll do the trapdoors again. Now what this does is if a part of the circuit, this is our activation point. If this gets hit, turns on, the trapdoor will activate because this is getting activated. And that will cause the system to reset to whatever was if the block is down, it's supposed to be down, it's going to stay down. But if it's supposed to be up, it's going to power where it's going to be up. So yeah, let me just finish that. Let me show you why. So we put an observer on the trapdoors here. Again, you could use power rails and activator rails, every other one. It works either way. And then we're going to put solid blocks on here. And we'll grab our torches. At any point you can add some light sources in here if you want. It's up to you. And that's just so that you don't have to be running around in the dark. But yeah, that's how that is. So then we'll grab one of our types of pistons. I'm using sticky pistons over there, but regular pistons also work. And on the tops of the torches, we're going to place our pistons. And if you don't feel like it, you can put the torches in later. Okay, so now we're just going to put blocks on top of all of these. In fact, this last one, we're going to replace that with a cauldron or something, and we're just going to put a level in it. It doesn't matter the level because we're using repeaters. And then we're just going to, on the bottom part, we're just going to place. You don't have to use slabs. You can use solid blocks if you want. You can use glass. You can use whatever you need to make this work. So, yeah, there's that. And then we're just going to put repeaters in every single one, except for this last one where we are going to put a comparator. Then we're going to go next to it. In fact, I'm just going to go one block above it because it's going to make it a lot easier for me to do this. Run it all the way down, grabbing either piston, and right above this piston we're going to be placing the piston, and then we're going to bust out just above the piston. And that goes there. And then we're going to throw a torch on all these blocks, which is powering these pistons. And then if I just happen to come over here and do that. Oh, we got to make sure that we got full signal strength going all the way over there. So let's just... Great time for this too. So if you don't get full signal strength, wherever you place a block and bam. Okay, so if I break this, place you, break you, they're all down now. Okay, so that's fine. Oh yeah, and this last one, we're going to throw another repeater there. And there's that. And then for this last part, on this part of the brain, we're going to go, and above every single block, we are going to throw an observer pointing down towards the torch. And we are going to throw a rail on top, and we're going to take a block and put it next to it with a rail on top of that too. Okay, so let's just, I'm only going to be doing one, because what you do to one of these, you're going to do to every single one of them. So again, we will take and put an observer going down. Off of this block, an observer going up. A solid block. Rails all the way across. On the top half, leaving a gap, we're going to place a repeater. Depending on how your system is, you have to power the repeater, and this is where the glass has to be. This is the only location where you have to use glass. The rest is up to you. I'm going to leave a gap and going down, creating a staircase. We are going to be placing glass. I'm just going to use a solid block here so that I don't have to run any dust further down, and I have these set at the right locations. And then we're just going to dust all this up. Let me grab a lever, and I'm going to flip the lever, and as you can see, it switched states. And if I flip this up, it's going to switch states again. If I power this, it's going to switch states for all of them. And that's all this does, is switch the states. That's the whole point of this. So let me get the rest of this built out, and I will be right back. Okay guys, I'm back, and I've got that control circuit complete. This is your input block, so if you're using like repeaters and whatnot, it goes there, and it does have to be consistently powered for it to work properly. But pretty much you power this block and directly. It's hard power. It'll be fine. If not, throw a redstone block like I did over there. That'll work just fine. So now what we got to do is come underneath, place a temporary block. I do recommend just placing a slab there. Throw another one. Throw a comparator. Put it on subtract mode. Grab your repeater. Put 2 blocks. We can take this one out. Repeater. And a comparator. And that right there would be that part. And then we will grab a normal block. Create a gap and throw a sticky piston under here. Grab your slabs again. You don't have to use slabs, but it just makes it a little easier. Grab your repeaters. Throw a repeater here, here, and these two on 4 ticks. That just slows the process, which is what we needed to do. So now, what you got to do is come back over here. We'll grab a solid block. Throw it here. We'll grab our container block. And I'm using the cauldron. We'll place a cauldron here. And we'll throw some water in it. And 1, 2, 3 solid blocks on top of it. On this one, we are going to take we'll take a solid block, put it next to it. Take our comparators. Put it on the side of there. Put a block up and a block down. And I do recommend using a cauldron or something that you can control where you have one in this. You don't have to use a solid block here, but it doesn't hurt. Then we will grab our slabs, put it one here, throw a repeater here, and a dust here. We'll grab us a regular piston. And on the side of this repeater, I'm just going to put a temporary block just to make it easier on myself. We'll place that there so that when this gets pushed down, as soon as the system says, okay, that one's done, it's going to reset the entire circuit. And then we're going to add 3 more repeaters, but with a block gap. So 1, 2, 3. Put solid blocks in between, including the last one. Repeaters. You can leave them on default. A sticky piston going up with a redstone block on it, which I probably forgot to mention. And we're going to leave a gap and put a regular piston. We don't need that block anymore. And that's part of this circuit here. That is the control surface for both sides. That's going to control pretty much both sides. But now we're going to take and with a let's see here. Oh, glass. We'll use glass. We don't have to use glass. It could be whatever transparent block you want. Place it there with a solid block. We'll grab our trapdoors. And the reason why we're using trapdoors is for space purposes only. Because I got a lot more space down here now than I would if I used just solid block. But you could use whatever anything you want. We're going to put a observer on that with a torch on its face. So torch there. That's good. Next to the torch, going down, we're going to grab our droppers. And we're just going to throw it right next to that torch. We're going to place in a dropper going out that way, going towards the front of the build, wherever your items are going to be processing out of. And then we're going to go down 2 blocks. We're going to leave a gap between the observers and throw an observer going towards the front and one towards the droppers. Grab a solid block, throw it there. So what happens is when we take and process the system, it's going to open up and then shoot. It's going to open, depower, put an item in there, and then a few moments later, we're going to have an observer line that takes the items and brings them out. So then we're going to take our slabs on the top set. We're going to place a slab there. We're going to grab a comparator, throw it on there, grab our droppers, and we're going to make a small RS NOR latch. So droppers facing each other, just like this. Then we are going to I'm just going to place you here. I'm using slabs. Either repeaters or comparators, it doesn't matter. We're going to place place one there. Off the side of it, we are going to place an observer with a block on its face. And below it, we are going to throw a sticky piston on that block. Grab your observer again and place it on there, and then fill in the gap. And in this bottom one, we're going to throw our random item. So if I take and just throw a random item in there, and let me grab a chest, which is the one thing also I forgot to mention. And I'm just going to put this one tick. Okay, now the item is in here. So if I update this, the item is now in here, which is exactly what we need it to do. Okay, so now what we need to do is get our hoppers. We're going to place a hopper on top of that, and then going towards the control circuit, we're going to place a double chest with a hopper going into the side of that, and then we are going to do another one. Control circuit. Yeah, we're going to go up, but let's get these set up so that we can actually control more what we're doing. So, before we go too high, we need to make sure that we have access to what we need. So, off of this, we're going to place a block here. You don't have to use a slab. You can use whatever block you need, but we're going to place a block there. We are going to pull a comparator signal out of this dropper saying there is an item in there. Same thing, you don't have to use a solid block or a slab. You can use whatever block you want, and we're going to throw a repeater right there. That will control if there's items in it. If you have this set any lower than this, it might cause it to wig out, and that's not going to be any fun. So, yeah. So now we're going to need to take and put a solid block here and a solid block here. We're going to take a comparator and either a repeater or a comparator, it doesn't matter, and we're going to throw it right there, which is going to lock the hopper when the system is turned off. So to do that, we take our container, and it doesn't matter what level you put it in there. Just put it, give it some levels. That will allow you to control how much goes in there. And now over onto this side, on top of these solid blocks, let me grab the cauldron again. We're gonna put that in. Put that in, and we're going to use a transparent block. Slabs work, glass works, downwards facing observers work in general, whatever. Anything that you have, we're going to place it there. You don't need slabs, but you can use them. Next to the glass, we're going to throw a comparator and a solid block. So, if we power this, that's going to power this, which then is going to lock this hopper and this hopper. So, what we're going to do is, same thing, we're going to lock the next hopper. So, from pretty much anywhere from here, you don't have to use solid blocks, so it doesn't matter what you use here. Well, we're going to lock the next hopper when the system is in lock mode. So it's pretty much every other one to a certain point. So we've got that one set, that one set. We'll lock the hoppers. This just cuts a little bit down on lag, preventing you from overloading the system. All right, so now we got that set. I'm going to have to review what I got next, and I'll be right back. Okay, guys, I got the next section for you. So now what we're going to do is we're going to add another cauldron up here. Throw our water in there. Glass on top. Slab. Block and observer, which means we are going to take and put in 2 more chests. And everywhere we throw in chests, all we have to do is just lock these hoppers. And there's that. Okay, so now we're going to throw another chest in here. And we are going to put a hopper here. We are going to do it again, but instead we are going to put it over here. We are going to take a solid block, throw it in between, and yeah, the standard routine of setting up to lock the hoppers. Any way that you want to use to lock the hoppers, I have it going through a block, that's why those are there. So now that one will lock that hopper and that hopper. So we're good there. Now we're going to take and add another chest here, a hopper there, a solid block there, a slab right there with a solid block behind it, a comparator, another glass with our container, our movable lock with a glass on top. Now that hopper would lock. We're going to throw another one on there with a hopper going this way. We are going to let's see here, got to remember this one. Yep, we're going to place a block here, container, glass, and if this one's 2 of them. No, that one is no, that one is fine. We are going to throw a slab there, and we're going to throw a repeater there instead. Throw a solid block behind that, and grab your piston and throw it underneath there. Done. That part, that is all the locking hoppers for that side. Then we need to throw another chest, hopper, and again, in fact, actually this one needs to go one more over, and we are going to lock it. Now this chest cannot open. Now that's fine. We don't need to access any of these chests. Blocks, cauldron, glass, water, slab here. You don't have to have this gap like that. I felt like having it like that. You can actually even put that there if you feel like it, but I wanted it like this. But okay, now we have them all capable of being locked. So we'll grab our piston again. We're going to leave a 1 block gap. Downwards facing piston. A slab next to the cauldron with a comparator. A block coming out from there. A block at an angle. A block on top of that. Just like that. Actually, make sure I got this right. Okay. First off, we will grab our torches. Because torch here, torch here. We don't need that there. We can actually drop this down one. Slab up here. Doesn't have to be a slab if you don't want it. I recommend it because it's cheaper. Repeater and a solid block on the torch. So if I grab this redstone block, come up here, and power this one right here. It locks all of them the way that it is, except for this one, but that one is because that's a special case. So now we're going to add in that special case. We are going to put a block in front of this repeater, throw a torch on top, a block on top of the torch, a slab next to it with a repeater, and now if I were to, I'm just going to break in place. Now I have all of these locked. It's a lot of work to do that. But yeah. Okay, so now we have it all locked. It's all good. It's all looking great. It's all functioning. Now comes the fun part. Adding in the last parts. So let me get reset and I'll be right back. Hey guys, I'm back and I just forgot to move items around. So what we need to do now is over here below this piston, above this piston, we're going to throw a sticky piston. We're going to throw I'm going to put a cauldron on there. I'm going to put one thing of water in it. Now, if you are in any location that gets rain, you need to make sure that it is covered because all the other ones are covered one way or another, so you do not get any more liquid in here. If you're using a composter, that's fine. A barrel, that's fine. But only if you are using a cauldron. You need to put a solid block there. If you're not, you're fine. So now we are going to grab a slab again. On the top part there, we're going to throw a comparator. We are going to grab some packed ice, which I did forget to mention. And we are going to put it right in front of there. And we're going to throw another chest here. And a hopper going down. So now all of them, if I flip this lever, we're going to be locked. All of them are locked. All of them are good. And if I flip this back to reset it, they all unlock. So, from here, we are going to pretty much set up for a water stream. So whatever block you want to use for your water stream, go right ahead. I'm going to use a slab and glass here. And we need to align the items just right here. So then what we got to do is take a dropper. And on the back side of this, we'll place the dropper going towards where the direction that the water is coming in at. Then we will grab our observers. We're going to leave... Ooh, wrong buttons. We're going to leave a 2-block gap with an observer going towards the front of where the items are coming in towards your water stream. A observer going forwards, and a solid block in between the dropper and the observer. That's going to send the items all the way down to the end of the line, and you make this as long as you want. That is the bulk storage. That's the storage unit itself with most of the brain. Now we're getting on to the final sections, which is for the control of when items aren't checked. In fact, we need to do one other little thing, and that is right here. Here. We're going to just throw a slab. It doesn't have to be a slab. Any type of solid block you want. Any type of block. And we'll just throw some dust on that. And this one, you're going to continue on. Every 15th block, we're going to continue powering it as long as you need it. Okay, but so, coming to the back half. We're going to continue on building this. We're going to take and put a dropper there. I'm going to take this out for now so that I can go here. Throw this back. And a hopper going into that dropper. And water stream, this is as far as it will need to go. So if you feel like, bam, that's fine. It's up to you. And then we will grab an observer. Next to the slab, we're going to place an observer facing down with a comparator on top of it. It's just telling us there's something that went through there. A solid block. Some more slabs. So 1, 2, 3. And we are going to throw some rails on top of these. In fact, actually, 1, 2, observer. And we can throw a repeater here to prevent it from getting powered from that. Then we're going to throw an observer up top, a block on top of the observer, a torch on top of the observer. You can use slabs here if you want, and 2 rails. 2 powered rails or activator rails, and that will start the reset system of this. So now we're going to come down to this dust here. We are going to we'll come back to that, but we'll continue on up here. So then from here, we're going to take our droppers. We're going to go towards the back. We are going to place a whatever block you want here, and depending on your type of water stream you're using, like I said, you have to make them line up right, pretty much right here. And due to the direction I have, the turtle eggs do work. So we're going to throw a solid block there. We're going to leave it open for now. We're going to take another observer and a solid block. We can use whatever blocks you want. We are just going to go down 8 blocks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, I'm going to put a temporary block here, grab an observer, and throw it right here. 9, and we'll just put rails all along here. We can take and throw that there. Continue this out. That is for the entire water stream. However you want to do it, it's up to you. Like I said, I recommend the turtle egg right here if it's in the right direction. Now, what we need to do is come to the bottom again, grab another observer. Off of this rail, we'll place going out, up, and from there we are going to place a rail, doesn't matter, a powered or activator, an observer with a solid block, grab a slab, place one there, solid block, 4-tick repeater, grab some glass, come in here and go skip down 1 and over 1. We need 2 in the same level, 1, and then all the way up 1 more. Put some rails on that, on all this glass. Grab a torch, throw it here. That's the only one active. Grab another observer. On top of here, place the observer, grab another torch, place the torch on top, grab whatever block you want here and here. Get yourself a stair or whatever you want. You can actually even put water sources to get it out of here, or even have this going this direction if you need to. In fact, let's just do that, and we'll just put a water source there. That will line things up, and there's no special trickery going on. But you can put a stair there if you want, and have that go that direction for a little more control. If you have it going this way, I just recommend blocking it off, prevent anything from happening. And there is the launch, the reset circuit. So now all we have to do is place a block here, go down with a sticky piston. We're going to place a observer going towards the circuitry. Then we are going to put a glass block underneath here, and so that we can just line this up right. Solid block right behind the observer. Solid block, a gap in between on a slab right behind it with dust on it. An observer powering this solid block here. And I can just break that, and glass, rails, bam. And there is that. That is set up to be the control circuitry if it is not part of that system. So let's just turn that one on. I'm going to just throw any random item in here. It's going to process, bam. And now that's set up there. Let me grab this. And there we go. If I flip this lever, it'll turn that up, locking that hopper. If you want to do a manual reset, make sure you clear out all of them and then just flip this. That will reset it all back to 0. And like I said, you'll have to clear it all out. So give me a few moments and we will work on getting the selected ejection. Basically, I want one shulker box. I'll be right back. Alright guys, I'm back. And time for the last part. So what we got to do first is add in 2 more blocks, and a solid block here, and we're going to just put dust all along here. Grab ourselves a sticky piston. Throw our container block here. Let me get my bucket of water on my bottle. We'll throw the water in there. And then next to this slab, we are going to throw a comparator, a observer going down with a comparator coming out of that. Now, when we select the system to give us the shulker box, that's going to start the system. So, now underneath that, we are going to take another, next to this dropper, another observer. We're going to put a rail on top of that. And then we are going to go down 2 more, throw another rail, coming out, observer. In fact, actually, I'm going to switch these over for slabs. They don't have to be slabs, they can be glass. And we will throw a 4-tick repeater right here. And then 2 more observers. And that will cause the system to load. And you can extend out this clock as far as you need. Now on the front here, next to here, we are going to throw a solid block, skip a block. In fact, actually, go up right next to this cauldron, throw a sticky piston with an observer on its face, and we'll just grab, and then we'll just power this however we need. I'm going to just use a button because it makes it easier. So let's just turn this onto a different thing. We're going to throw a random item in. Reset. Lock it. I'm going to throw this in here. Grab a chest. Put it on there. And push the button. And now we have that button. Now we have that piece of redstone in here. And that right there is the entire build. Like I said, you don't have to make it that big, but you can. And this is set for 8 bits, not 6. That one's for 9. This is infinitely expandable. You can, and that is because it doesn't have any weird timing issues with utilizing observers. And that's the one thing I have noticed, that sometimes using the observers can cause some issues depending on what it is. And yes, these will constantly fire. That's why we are using glass to prevent it when when the system is in lock, like this. That will not power that. That's one of the only ones that has to be a glass or a slab. But you guys, I hope you enjoyed the video and found it quite useful. I will be having a world download with this in it for you guys. If you guys don't want to watch it all the way through and actually take a look at it, mess around with it. Also, I will be having this built in my creative realm. So to get to that, you must join the Discord. If you have any questions or comments, you can leave them down in the comment section. If it's a major issue, I recommend you join my Discord. If you like the video, leave a like. If you want to support me, you can subscribe or join my Patreon. Link that will be in the description. But you guys, this is the Redstone Wizard. Enjoy building.